allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the moment of silence. I'd like to dedicate this moment of silence to Addie Grande. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason.
Present.
Trustee Reinders.
Present.
Trustee McNaughton.
Present.
Trustee Consolino.
Present.
Trustee Fialko.
Present.
Trustee Stylen.
Present.
Mayor Knightsky-Troicke.
Present. Next is community recognition. Seeming we have none. Amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments?
Yes.
Trustee Consolino?
To pull out accounts payable from consent agenda and move that to L1.
Okay, accounts payable, so K1 to L1, okay. Is there any more amendments? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Reinders, Trustee McNaughton. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is public comment. Was there any? Miss Brianna. How do you, is it Glody?
Cloudy.
Cloudy.
Like cloudy with a G.
Got it.
Okay. Hi, it's me.
Hi,
The
good to
girl
see
with
you
the
again.
water issues. I just wanted to thank all the residents and board members that came to my water discussion last Friday night here in the boardroom. We had about 60 residents that showed up to discuss their frustrations with Illinois American Water. I'm still compiling notes from that night and information from the people that came to the meeting. I just wanted to step up tonight again and stress the importance of keeping an eye on your water bills. Remove them from auto pay so you know what's coming, you can stop it. And encourage everyone to file their IAW complaints with the ICC. So we can only do, well, there's 3 different types of complaints that you need to be aware of. The first one is inconsistency in water prices, rates, and charges. The second one is complaints about usage being drastically higher or unexplainable compared to previous months or years. And then the third one, technicians showing up and not doing what they say they're going to do, not showing up at all, or showing up unannounced. You can bring your issues and your water bills to the village, or you can send them to me as well to help me gather information going forward. I'm going to host another water discussion soon, but that's not planned yet. And then if you'd like to reach me about water bills or your concerns in the meantime, I set up an email account, and it's watertaskforce.homerglen@gmail.com.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, moving on from public comment, we're going to go to reports and communications from the president and other officers. Village Manager Joe Baber.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. You may have seen our public works guys out with their yellow vests working around the streets and along the roadways. They're out there picking up trash, and I want to thank them. They've been finally doing that since the weather's gotten a little bit nicer, so I thank them for doing that. Also, some of our staff is working on a number of grants, mainly to do with park improvements, and that's going well also. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustees, we're going to start with Trustee McNaughton.
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Trustee Mason.
Nothing to report, but I did see what Joe just mentioned, which was the public works out cleaning up the sides of the road, and I was very appreciative of that today.
Thank you. Trustee Consolino.
Yeah, I wanted to first all say congratulations to Trustee Stylen for her new position that she won yesterday. And then I have some numerous things that I'd like to report on for the last month. It's very sick the past couple weeks, but I'll try and keep it short because pretty much what I have to say I'm very disgusted about. In the past month, I've had to make numerous complaints to the village regarding electioneering and threats. Unfortunately, I've had to forward these complaints on to outside agencies that are higher than Will County in order to pursue that proper independent investigations are taking place. Yesterday, I got to physically witness Trustee Mason assisting in taking down political signs, and I videotaped it. I also heard you very loudly verbally assault a candidate by the name of Dominic Pasella, and threatened to kick his ass down the street, something about redheaded stepchild. So, but that's on video. So that was very fun, and I did yell loudly from the vehicle while I was videotaping, expressing what our village attorney had stated about political signage and First Amendment rights, but fell on deaf ears. So there's that. We had a tax video that went out from the village. I asked to have it pulled down because the tax video didn't really give a lot of information that it should have. It omitted funding sources and how things go in and go out from everything from the Homer Township Road District to the Homer Glen Public Works, funding sources, scope of services, and transfer of stewardship. So I felt that that was electioneering, and I did notify the village, and I am notifying other agencies as well. Also received numerous complaints about emails this week. Lots and lots of emails came from Mayor of Homer Glen. They were electioneering emails, which would be fine, but these seem to go to residents that only sign up for our EMA stuff, that their emails are completely confidential, as well as municipal offices that never receive anything except materials from another municipal office. So I'm dealing with that complaint. Harassment. So a month ago, January 22nd to be exact, we had threats of violence and harassment and death threats from the mayor's father, Mr. Theodore Netschke, towards elected, and here he is, towards 2 elected officials at the public village board meeting. So there's that complaint, and I could see the heckling is just going to continue. And we also have Illinois Water. I want to thank Brianna for coming because there was a lot of speculation about that meeting. Nothing about you hosting the meeting, but I heard that there were candidates that were wearing campaign gear. That is illegal, that is electioneering, and they were at that meeting inside the village hall. So, you know, the list goes on, there's other things, and I'm very embarrassed by how our village is handling itself with stuff like this and our elected officials. I have no problem bringing it to light like I've always done. You know, my term is almost ended. I'm very grateful for that on a lot of levels, but at the same time, I'm not going to stop holding anything that this village or its public officials do to hold them accountable and be transparent. So this is my notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Fialko?
Yes, thank you. I just want to say congratulations to Sue with her election yesterday. She did very well, and now it's time, as we always say, to put down the swords and get to work. Just so the public knows, though, there still are mail-in ballots that need to be counted that are out there, and certification does not come until April 22nd. So that would be all I have to say about the election. Thank you, and congratulations, Sue. As far as the water, I know that there's a newfound effort for water, and I attended the meeting, and I wasn't able to talk even though it was a public meeting, or not a public meeting, it was actually supposed to be a private meeting where we paid $500 for a partition, and the meeting was held. I didn't speak during that time, but I will tell you this. You might want to do the history in depth with the lawsuits that have already been filed, with the pipeline that we tried to acquire with 4 other villages
that came up with a price that was unaffordable. Now, we were in at a percentage. Not all of the towns that were involved are in at 100%. There's percentages. I encourage you to find out that percentage. The other thing is, our water infrastructure was sold back long ago. So out of the 5 villages that were involved in the lawsuit on the water, we are the only village that does not own our infrastructure. So the cost of the water really isn't the expensive part. It's that pass-through charge and also the sewer. So before you spend your hard-earned money gathering lawyers, I would make sure you do an in-depth research on the whole subject, going all the way back to George Yukich when they started with this lawsuit. I think it was back in 2017. It lasted a long time. It only ended like a year and a half, 2 years ago or so. And we were unable to really make any headway with that. But I just don't want to see you guys spending your money on lawyers and doing a class action suit. And the batting average with Illinois American Water is not good. I don't think when it comes to the Illinois Commerce Commission, they give them the raises all the time, and we do not have a good batting average with that. There's been many people who have tried better than me and this board, and we've done some things to move in that direction to kind of null the cost and see what we can do, but what we've started is going to take a couple of years, maybe up to 5 years before we see any benefit from that. So I don't want anybody to get high hopes on anything. I know some promises were made that water prices were going to go down. I don't see that ever happening. If you ever hear a politician tell you that, they're not telling you the truth. I've been around here for 31 years, and the water issue has been going on for a long, long time. And so that's the only word of caution I give. I'm happy that everybody's gathering together and everybody's talking about it again, because I think if the talk dies, the motion to get something to be done eventually won't ever happen. But we have to be wise about what we do and don't spend your money frivolously on something that's already been done and when the batting average isn't that well. So make sure your money is well invested in the moves that you make. That's all my word of caution, that's all. But thank you for doing what you did, and thank you for putting that meeting together. You did a great job. So thank you.
Trustee Reinders?
I have no report.
Trustee Steilen?
No, the Community Development Committee won't be meeting this month. We will be next meeting in March 25th. Thank you.
Thank you. Village Clerk?
Yes, I once again have a bunch of shout outs for the high school and Homer Junior High wrestling team won its 17th straight regional championship this past Saturday. The team is advancing 20 wrestlers to sectionals. That's taking place this weekend. Girls basketball had an amazing season. They played for the regional title on February 20th. They were regional champions for the first time since 2018. Sadly, last night they lost to Lincoln Way West for the sectional title. Boys basketball got off to a slow start, and they're actually playing this evening against Sandburg in Game 1 of the regional semifinals. Girls bowling captured the Southwest Suburban Conference title, the regional title, and placed second at the sectional meet. Boys bowling fell short of an impressive run of the Southwest Suburban Conference title and finished in third place. Cheer, the varsity had finished first in every competition this season, and all 3 levels had won the last 2 competitions. They were the Southwest Suburban Conference and sectional champions, and they had the leading score headed into day 2 for the finals. However, the team had a fall in the final performance, and they finished 6th overall. The LTHS dance team qualified for the state finals again and placed 22nd overall. The boys swim and dive, they're in the middle of their season, and this past weekend they had sectionals. They were looking to finish in the top 2 and exceeded that with a first place finish. Girls wrestling placed 2nd at the regionals, and they qualified 2 wrestlers at sectional champions, and one of them is a resident, which we actually recognized her last year, Claudia Heaney. Boys wrestling finished second in the Southwest Suburban Conference and Regional Meet, and they sent 6 qualifiers to state, which just took place this past weekend. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Village Attorney?
Yes, as I spoke last board meeting, we were trying to work with Lockport to sit down and discuss some of the issues that both the Village of Homer Glen and the City of Lockport had with an IGA, an intergovernmental arrangement that we have with them in regards to treating our wastewater. Due to personnel issues on their side, that meeting had to be continued. We do have it scheduled. It's going to be the first part of March, and we look forward to working with the new corporate attorney for Lockport and trying to reach resolution on this. Secondly, my office, our law firm, is going to be meeting with the Illinois Attorney General's office the first week of March, trying to explore with the Illinois Attorney General's office potential options to assist the residents with the current issues they have with Illinois American Water. Thirdly, we are also going to be working with staff here and also the Board of Trustees here in proposing potential legislation that would assist individuals that are seeking reparations, for lack of a better word, or seeking relief is probably the better word, from Illinois American Water or any public utility for that matter, for practices that may be harmful to consumers. Lastly, we do have, let's see here, I talked about the proposed legislation. Okay, and that is, lastly, sorry, a little bit to what Trustee Fialco had talked about in his report, and I know the mayor has talked about this in the past too, and also Mr. Westcott in a previous report that he had given, about the history of utilities here in the Village of Homer Glen. And I just want to let the public all here know where you can find it. There is a compilation, there's a chronological history of the actions that have taken place since about 2000, and that can be found on our Homer Glen website. And I want to give you the path to follow in order to access, to retrieve that. Just like any website, you have to go through various clicks to get to it. And the path to follow that would be, once from the home page, you go to Community Services, Water and Sewer Service, and then you click on the left, there's an icon that says A Brief History of Lake Water and Sewer Service. And it starts, as Trustee Fialco said, it starts with Citizens Utilities and such in early 2001, and it ends, and I don't want to waste anybody's time here today and go through it, but it ends with the 2023 settlement agreement between Illinois American Water and the North Will County Water Agency. And that was an agency comprised of multiple jurisdictions, multiple municipalities, including Homer Glen, that got together to try to join forces, for lack of a better word, because there's strength in numbers, and try to resolve issues with Illinois American Water. I'm not going to take you through all that historical walk in the park, for lack of a better word, but it's there for you to read, and so you can get up to speed on what the village has done in the past and where we presently are at. Okay, and that's all I have, ma'am, for my report.
Thank you. Public safety officials? Nothing. Okay, and that leaves me. Some statements that were made tonight, I don't personally feel warrants a response, but I want to correct something. My last name is pronounced Nitsky, not Netchke. So if you're going to try to insult me, the least you can do is actually say it correctly. Bree, you did an amazing job. Your meeting was successful. I encourage you to keep going, regardless of what anyone else says. Your group is growing. I hear your team is growing. I've had many residents reach out asking how to contact you. So I do encourage you to keep going. I know you were a little nervous at the meeting, but you're getting better. You're doing great. It is a big task. It is an uphill battle, but I believe in you, and I believe that you can do this. Okay. A little correction: the lawsuit started in 2014. When Mayor Daley was in office, not 2017. And in your meeting, Bree, I don't want you to feel that we spent $500 on a partition, because that is not true. We have a partition here which is utilized to protect the board, the dais. So that's why the partition was up, as I explained to you previously. So we didn't go out. I don't want the residents to think we just went out and spent $500 on a meeting. With that also being said, we cannot stop anyone from wearing whatever they choose to wear at a meeting held by a resident. So if people want to wear a shirt that says whatever on it, I can't make them take their clothes off in the hallway. So you are allowed to wear whatever you want when there's a meeting here held by a resident. With that being said, no emails were sent out by me as the mayor. If you got one, please let me know, because I'd be curious to know where that came from. Also, I want to thank the staff for doing an amazing job on that tax video. I thought it was very educational, very informative. Many residents appreciated it. I encourage you to continue educating the public and the residents so they know what's going on, and I promote your efforts in doing that. So great job to you guys on that as well. Couple other things. March 23rd is a corned beef and cabbage at Marion Village. All proceeds will go to the American Legion in Homer Glen. Thank you, Lou Zemke, for hosting that and putting that on. I heard you sold out and people are still begging you for tickets. There's also a volleyball. What's that? 10 left. 10 left. All right, well, there you go. We got 10 tickets left if you guys are interested in supporting your local veterans. March 23rd, corned beef and cabbage at Marion Village. I believe 4 o'clock is the time. He'll correct me if I'm wrong anyways. There's also a volleyball game held on February 28th at 6 o'clock at Homer Junior High. All proceeds will go to Shady Oaks as well. That's pretty much all I have to report. The Ability Awareness Committee is going to finally start their sign language class, and again, we'll put that out there when we have more information. All right, so moving on to consent agenda. We moved K1, so I'm going to move just to K2. Consider for approval the treasurer's report of cash and investments for the period ending November 30th, 2024, in the amount of $47,892,97.45. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Trustee Stylen, Trustee Reinders. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to K1, consider approval of the accounts payable for the period of February 15th, 2025 through February 27th, 2025 in the amount of $908,124.83. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko?
I'll second.
Trustee Mason. Trustee Fialko?
Yes, going through here, there were a couple things, but I straightened them out. But being that we're working with Local 150 now, there was something that came up, and I just want to make sure it's clear to the public because it wasn't clear to me when we got it. I called Joe Baber today, and I'd like John to verify our conversation and what took place. There on page 5, there's a cost it says Local 150 membership dues, $342.44. Then on page 7, there is also a Local 150 February 25th dues for $1,625.88. The way I understand it, and I'm just looking for verification, so the public knows that we're not paying the members' union dues. What it is a deduction from the paycheck to the village, and then that payment is then made to the bargaining unit. That was what I was told. I want to make sure it's clear to the public that we're not paying membership dues to Local 150.
That is
Mr.
correct.
Sayers?
That's exactly what's occurring. It's 100% employee funded.
Okay, so we deduct it from the paycheck.
Right.
Again, and then we take and we send it to Local 150 for the member.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Is
That's
it all?
all I have.
That's all you have? Trustee Mason, do you have anything?
Nope, that's obvious to me.
Does anybody else have any comments?
Of course.
Madam Clerk? Madam Clerk, point of order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Absolutely not.
Did you say absolutely not, or? Absolutely not. Okay, thank you. And
That would be no.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to L1, consider for approval of the Vantage Production Group by Soundworks contract for 2025 Homer Community Festival in the amount of $17,550. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Trustee Fialko, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Reinders. Trustee Fialko?
Yes, I have been involved with this for many, many years, and I just want to be there for Dan. Is Dan still in the back there? There you are. You moved. All right. What I'm looking at is this. I just want everybody to be clear. When it comes to the sound for Homerfest, this includes the stage, it includes the sound system, and it includes 2 employees for 4 days. So this is spread out throughout the whole 4 days, this cost. This isn't just a one-time cost. Early on, when I was involved, we had 4 extra speakers, an FM module, and everything else. And I cleared that up. I made it, and I want to get that message out too, that for Homer Fest, with this stage and this setup, this is only the 3rd year this is happening. So where we used to sit for the fireworks before, you can now hear the soundtrack to the music and the fireworks right in front of the stage. You don't have to go all the way to that southeast part of the park where people will sit up there. Not that you can't, but if you want to hear the music, it's open now. You don't have to come out from underneath that tent to see the fireworks. You're right there. So hopefully everybody likes it. It seems like they did. But with this cost, it looks like it was only a 7.2% increase on the cost, which really that isn't too bad considering what's been going on with the cost of employees, with the cost of everything that's gone up. It's a little bit higher than you would maybe expect, or you probably wanted, but I know I had worked with them and kept the price. I was really hard on them when I would negotiate with them. So I appreciate you taking the time and getting the same stage, the same sound, the same people. They're excellent people to work with. They have always worked well with us, and I'm glad that we have them again for this year. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Reinders?
As I'm looking at this, Dan, the only reason that the price went up this year was because of the extra speakers, right?
Correct. We have,
Other than that, it was the same as it was last year?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Consolino?
No comment.
Trustee Mason?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Stylen?
No.
I do have something. I have not had a chance to review this. I apologize. It's been a busy few days. I would ask that we table this. Have you reviewed this contract? Yeah.
No, ma'am.
And I do have questions on number 10. When do you need this by?
Oh, the sooner the better, so we can lock them in.
Who made the motion? Trustee Fialco? Would there be any consideration to approve upon attorney review?
I would say, here, I only know that they've already warned us. We were late in getting the stage and the sound equipment, and if we do this, I think it's not in our best interest at this point. If it was earlier in the year, it's the same contract we've had for the last, I don't know how many years. I don't know what the concern is.
Number 10.
What does it say?
Number 10?
I don't have it open to that page, but hold on one second. Maybe I'm familiar with it, maybe I'm not.
It's indemnification of contractor by client. I've just,
You said page 10?
no, it's number 10.
It's on the 10th page, too.
I don't have a page number on mine.
It goes 8.
Bottom right.
Do you see a page number?
Yes, ma'am. That's page,
Page 8?
it's paragraph 10.
Yeah, but not page 10.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
In the contract itself, backside.
I'm gonna-
Just I want everyone to review that, and attorney, if you don't mind reviewing that as well, just to,
Maybe could you look it over now and just kind of give us your advice?
I mean, that's kind of,
For number 10, if that's the only
Do
concern?
you want me to?
I mean, that was just me putting my eyes on it just right now. Number 10, I mean, I literally haven't reviewed anything else on it.
Yeah.
Can we move this maybe to later in the agenda to give you time to review, or do you?
I mean, I've read it. Do you want me to discuss openly what my concerns are with this? or
Do you
what
have
my opinion
concerns
is?
as well? Yeah, I would.
If you want to have everybody agree consensusly to let me speak freely.
Does the
I'll
board give
Yes,
consensus?
I
Okay.
do.
Go ahead. There you go.
So,
Absolutely.
it would be my opinion that this indemnification clause is overly broad. It requires the village to indemnify the contractor for anything that happens arising from this contract, which could be anything. Contractors, in our view, are required to certain duties and responsibilities. That would be to erect it, that would be to have equipment in a good workmanlike manner. And the failure of that equipment, let's say it falls and hurts an individual, that's not on me. That should not be on the village's responsibility to indemnify the contractor for something along those lines. That should be within their purview. And this, I oftentimes, and I'll just share with everybody here, oftentimes you see indemnification clauses like this, very, very, very broad. It takes attorneys to get involved and just refine what it is that we're looking for, because as this reads, I wouldn't recommend anybody accepting that.
I didn't get the chance to review anything else after, so I just prefer to
like the
review a
limits of
contract before I have
liability.
to sign something.
Sure, yeah, I agree.
And it's, you know, ma'am?
Yes.
The two things that we as attorneys look at, and I'm not faulting any trustees here, because that's why they hire us, are the insurance and the indemnification. Insurance requires them to insure or to have certain policies that provide insurance. Outside of insurance, then there's a contractual responsibility that parties have between each other in suit, regardless of insurance, in the event something happens. And this is an indemnification clause giving an awful lot of rights and duties and responsibilities in the favor of the actual contractor. It's written very one-sided, and I wouldn't recommend proceeding with that. I can certainly draft other language that would be much more neutral, for lack of a better word, but as this stands, this would require the village to pretty much be a strict liability guarantor of anything that happens regarding this equipment.
The other concern I have is it says refer to the cancellation policy, and I don't see a cancellation policy in here.
What's that?
Oh, maybe, yeah, I do, cancellation policy number 5. Okay, never mind. So, I mean,
We assume all liability.
to feel comfortable, this is my opinion, you guys vote on it, but I just
I'll
haven't.
make that motion to table it.
Thank you.
I'll do it quick.
Can I add
Oh,
something?
trustee Steinle? Well, there's a motion on the table that supersedes. Is there a second to table?
I'll second.
Trustee Mason, oh, trustee Steinle, go ahead.
Often what happens with these contracts is we require a certificate of insurance, and when we send the certificate of insurance to our insurer, we send them the copy of the contract as well, and our insurer will often
Name us.
highlight something like that if they catch it. Granted, they may not catch it, but they often do so. Even with the attorney drafting something up, it's our insurer that's going to have to pay if something were to happen. So we might just want to go to them first for the indemnification clause.
As long as we're talking while a motion's on the floor, I'd like to, you know what, I think Mike looking it over is the right thing to do. If we then need to ask the insurance company, after you wordsmith it how you would like to see it, is the better way to go, I think. The motion's on the floor to
Yeah,
table.
we're in discussion of the motion.
No, you don't do that.
Oh, I didn't know.
But
Okay.
I'm okay with it. I'm just saying, well, how about we just vote on it?
Okay, no, that's, Madam Clerk, for the table, we're calling the roll to table.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Steilen?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you, guys. L2, consider for approval the estimated quote for Blue Peak in the amount of $41,382.88. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Trustee
I'll
Steinle?
second.
Trustee Fialko?
Give it to Mason.
Mason?
Either way.
Okay. Trustee Steinle?
Well, the same thing would apply to this contract as well, because it has the same kind of indemnification clause. So we would probably have to table it for attorney review unless we want to approve it based on attorney review. And then the only other thing is to look at we have to pay everything up front. The final check is due 2 weeks before.
It's number 16 on here. Limits of liability.
Was that all you had to say, Sue?
Yes.
Trustee Mason?
I would agree with trustee Steinle. 15 and 16 need to be looked at. And a lot of times the certificate of insurance will name us as an insurer as well.
Well, we require that.
Yeah.
Do you guys give permission for the attorney to give his advice?
Yes.
Okay, so typically, what we do is, the village, as a policy, we always try to have the contractor name the village as an additional insured on their policy. It's not good enough to simply be named as a certificate holder. That does nothing for you. That just shows us that an insurance company is insuring the contractor for their loss. What we, as the village, as an extra level of protection that we always ask for, is to be named as a specific additional insured on their policy on a primary non-contributory basis. And what that means is this: if they get named in a lawsuit, the contractor, and then everybody always names the village too, because they always assume that we have the deepest pockets. We then do what they call a tender. We take that lawsuit or claim against us, and we send that claim in a written letter from my law firm, or from the law firm that I work for, and we send it directly to their insurance carrier, and we tender coverage. We demand that pursuant to that certificate of insurance that named us as an additional insured, that they defend us in that litigation and potentially indemnify us for any damages that give rise from that occurrence. So that's what happens with insurance. Second, and independent of that, we have what they call contract indemnity, and that's what Trustee Mason and that's what Trustee Fialco and the mayor were briefly talking about up here too. That's separate and distinct from the insurance obligation. Just because somebody names me as an additional insured does not necessarily mean that they're agreeing contractually to indemnify me. So what we like to do as a village, as a matter of policy, is number one, require us to be named as additional insurers to protect us. And two, second and independent, make sure that the indemnification clause is at least neutral. These clauses that we're looking at here appear to be very favorable towards the contractor, and they need to be reviewed for that reason.
So we're still in discussion. Trustee McNaughton?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Reinders?
No, I think he explained it.
Trustee Fialco?
Yes. Attorney Pasquinelli and myself, we worked through this last year. I know this is your first year, Dan, and I'm sorry that you run into this bump. But I think between Joe and the attorney, you should be able to work it out. I wouldn't call, I don't think it's necessary to call either one of these companies and say we got to, it'll all get worked out. And usually you're not paying for the tent right away anyway, and you're not paying for the sound right away. So I don't think there'll be a problem. But we're only 4 months away from Homerfest though. So we got to make sure that when we get our things, we got everything so we can help you help out Homerfest, right? Yep. So that's the only word of caution I would give for anything else that we're purchasing, for Homerfest, is make sure that insurance thing is covered and that you look over the contract with the attorney or with Joe, because they may have changed like they always do. So that would be all that I've got.
Trustee Consolino?
No, I agree.
So from what I'm hearing, it sounds like, do we want to table this? So,
Make that motion to table.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll on tabling.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to L3, consider for approval an ordinance for text amendments to Chapter 220. I'm not good with Roman numerals. Is that Article 7? Administration and enforcement of the zoning code of the Village of Homer Glen to modify the process by which map and text amendments may be made, HG 2501A. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Consolino, Trustee Mason. Trustee Consolino?
Yeah, the only problem that I had with this, I'm going through the language.
I'm sorry, is your microphone on?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So the only problem that I had with this, because I understand the necessity for it, we're discussing, so on page 1, for all intents and purposes, the term initiate means to direct staff to begin work on drafting a proposed text amendment and bring it before the Plan Commission as a public hearing before final action by the board.
Can you tell us what page you're on?
I'm on the first page.
Oh.
So that's under background information. So then the other part, it says, the ability to initiate them should only rest with the board, since it's ultimately the board's decision to approve a text amendment, okay? So when you go then to page 21, under B, initiation, okay, so under 1, where it's redlined, it says text amendments may be proposed by village board or their designee, including but not limited to the administration and finance committee. So no, I do not agree with having a designee or allowing the administration and finance committee when it clearly says in the beginning that the whole idea to clear this up is to make it the board's decision to approve.
Okay.
And this is with the L3 one, not with the, I know that's confusing because they're both separated because the other one's for the map amendment. But that language doesn't really say what it says on the very, like, what our initiative is with this to make it ultimately the board, and it says, ultimately the board's decision to approve.
So just for clarification, because I'm a little confused, you said, because you were referencing the map amendment, you want the map and the text to match?
Yes.
And what do you want it to match to say?
Well, no, I want in zoning, okay, on page 21,
Which I'm looking
okay,
at.
okay. Go ahead.
Well, it's trustee Consolino's floor.
We should be looking at page 42 where actually the ordinance is. I know it's in the beginning, but the actual ordinance.
Trustee Consolino, are you okay with giving him the floor right now? I don't,
2 seconds, okay.
okay. Well, someone's got to tell me what to look at. 21 or 42?
I kept referring to 21.
Okay.
If trustee Fialco, you want to move on to 42 and read it?
But it's actually the ordinance itself. Page 42.
Well, wait, we're going to go in order here because trustee Mason was next, but I just was looking for a clarification.
So on my end, what I was explaining was B1, redlined, text amendments may be proposed by the village board or their designee, including but not limited to the administration and finance committee. I would like to strike their designee and including but not limited to the administration and finance committee. Okay.
Does everyone give permission for the attorney to intervene?
Yes, please.
Okay, I think what I'm hearing is that trustee Consolino likes the language she sees in section 220.1205 that deals specifically with text amendments, which requires it to be solely initiated by the village board or through one of the committees that we have, correct? And then, ma'am, you're just saying that the language in regards to the map amendments needs to clone the language that we had in
It
the
should
text
match
amendment.
it, thank you.
Okay, and I think that that's what the original intent of this was, but somehow...
was.
Yes, ma'am, somehow it got mixed up in the various back and forths that I had with staff, so I'll accept a responsibility for that mix-up. So what we should have here is chapter 220-1205, that text right below paragraph 3, that should be the same text that we see,
On the map.
should be the same exact thing that we have here in paragraph B under section 221.208. Trustee Consolino is saying that there's no reason why one should have a different course of initiation than the other, which makes sense.
The whole purpose was to streamline it in A and F.
Right.
And
Right, that's-
I know it's rare, but I agree. Bottom line, it doesn't need that language in there
So
whatsoever.
trustee Consolino, are you looking to amend, you want it to still be approved, but just to change, does she need to amend that then? Or can it just be approved with the change, with the amendment?
We can't strike it and...
But that's why I was asking to strike.
Yeah, I don't-
If we can't strike, then I
know how that
will
works.
make a motion to amend.
then we can pass it.
I can try to fix it, but it's going to take me a little bit of finagling, ma'am. Do we need to have this passed today?
We don't need it passed today. It was just kind of the sooner the better. And I don't know what happened. Like, wow, we looked at this for hours and hours
I know,
and hours.
and
So-
may I say something?
Yeah.
ma'am? And I apologize
Yeah.
with the director. Him and I had gone back and forth on this, and we thought we had it 100% nailed. So, but you would agree with me that our original intent was to have that language 100% cloned with what we saw with the text amendment.
Right,
language,
so on page
correct?
15,
Yeah.
with the 220-1205, yes, that it was supposed to be the village board initiates such
Yeah.
an amendment or their designee, and that was supposed to be it. I don't know how this got onto the other page here that says the A&F committee. That should have been gone.
No, but it was supposed to be, what it was supposed to be, the initiation all had to come through, or by a recommendation to the village board to initiate such an amendment or amendments as formally recommended by either the planning and zoning director, village
Mm-hmm.
manager, or any standing committee established under section 10-5 of the village code.
That's correct. That's
So
what we should
that
be doing.
language is supposed
Yes.
to be the same, and for text amendments and map amendments. Both
Well-
of them should be the same.
No, so for map amendments, somebody that owns property should be able to rezone their own property, and they can initiate that rezoning themselves. It's for text amendments, so it's changing the actual text of the ordinance, like, so say for like beekeeping or for data centers that we're going to be looking at, that should only be initiated by the board.
I think we need to, may I say something, ma'am? I think we need to table this because what I'm hearing from the trustees is that this isn't what.
Well, you're hearing
how I
from one
drafted it.
trustee, yeah, from one trustee.
sorry.
I haven't listened to the rest of the board yet, but one trustee is making the recommendation.
Well, when I drafted it, ma'am,
Yeah.
I thought I was drafting it to cover both. So I'm mistaken.
But what I'm hearing Mr. Gruba say is it's not supposed to match. Is that right?
No, actually, it should be.
Okay. Is there a motion to table?
Yeah.
I'll motion to table.
Okay.
Until
Trustee
the next meeting.
Cantalino, Trustee Reinders actually did it. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on tabling.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Okay.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye. That's 3 out of 5.
Motion carries. So now we're moving to L4. Consider for approval an ordinance for text amendments, oh boy, to Chapter 220, Attachment 2, Table 2, use bulk tables for non-residential districts. Article, again, I don't know Roman numeral, what is that, 13? 10? No, V1, III? 8. General provisions in Article X, Site Development Regulations of Zoning Code of the Village of Homer Glen to amend the regulations for data centers, HG 2502A. Is there a motion?
I so move.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Stylen and McNaughton. Trustee Stylen, do you have any comments?
No, well, the comment is that I support it. I like the idea of making it a special use.
Is that it? Trustee McNaughton?
Yeah, the ordinance amendment seeks to introduce additional oversight for the data centers within the village by changing their classification from a by right use to requiring a special use permit, which I think should be the case for data centers moving into the village. Thank you.
Trustee Reinders?
I agree. I think that this is needed because of, all of the new technology that's coming out and the new centers that are coming out. I know that somebody's looking out here already for a data center, so I think we need to update the ordinances.
Trustee Fialko?
I support this, and thank you for moving that in the right direction, Chris. The thing is, the one more layer of oversight, too, I think is a great idea, because they're controversial sometimes because of the way they look, the noise from them, the possible EMFs and what might be around it, a school or something else, we're not sure. So adding this extra layer of protection into here, I think is a good thing. I support it. Thank you.
Trustee Consolino?
I'm in support of the ordinance, but I'm not in support of the data centers coming. So, but, it's better to have some type of protection in regards to the ordinances. So, thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Abstain.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Oh, did I miss you, Trustee Mason? I'm sorry. I was sitting here thinking, did I miss someone? Sorry. Number 5, consider for approval an ordinance adopting official 2025 zoning map of the Village of Homer Glen. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko?
I'll second.
Trustee Reinders. Trustee Fialko?
Yes, I just so the public knows, the state statute requires us to do this on an annual basis under 65 ILCS 5/1113 through 19. So we have to do this on an annual basis, and then after we approve it, and it has to be done by March 31st, and then we are required to publish it too. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that it's part of something we do annually.
Trustee Reinders?
He said it, so I know that we do this annually, and I'm fine with it.
Trustee Consolino?
No, and I also think it should be said that there's no major changes being made. So because of that, yes, this is the normal procedure for us to do for the zoning map.
Trustee Stylen?
Agree with all that's said.
Trustee Mason?
I'm good.
Trustee McNaughton?
Agree. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Motion carries. Old business? I've got a few things for old business, unless somebody else does, real quick.
Yes, I do.
Oh, go ahead, Trustee Mason.
I'm not even sure that it deserves a response, but earlier today, Trustee Consolino stated something about me having a confrontation with a particular candidate, which is true. He drove on my side of my son's house on private property over the grass, and I asked him not to put the signs in there. I did do it politely before being provoked with profanity, and it did get a little heated. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Fialko, you had something?
Yes. I spoke with Joe Baber today. If everybody's wondering right now, on the south of 151st Street, that would be east of Cedar and west of Parker, they're putting all this planking in there. And I had been asked, is that where the solar farm is going? Are they putting a solar farm in already? And the way I understand it, the gas line that goes through there, they're putting a wire tag on that pipeline so they can identify it. So nothing's being built there. They're just adding, so they're able to locate that pipe. There's nothing being built there. So that's all I wanted to say.
Anybody else have anything for old business?
Yes, I wanted to refer to village manager, if he could give us an update on the vandalism incident that occurred the other week, and if you could give us an update on what's going on with any threats for harassment and death threats.
Well, Joe, you can go ahead and respond to that if you'd like.
I'm sorry, the vandalism that occurred?
Mm-hmm. And the police report that was filed.
Yes, as far as I know, it's still under investigation.
Okay.
The alleged.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the reference to a dry erase marker?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, vandalism, got it. Got it. Okay, is that it?
Your second question, I'm sorry.
And then what is the protocol that's going to occur for people that feel like they're being threatened or harassed?
I would have them contact Will County Sheriff.
What about when it's happening here in the village?
I would have them contact the Will County Sheriff Department.
And when nobody does anything, what is their recourse then?
And there must not be harassment.
And whose opinion, point of order?
Joe? Contact the police department. And if the police department aren't doing anything, that's an insult to the police department. You guys are doing a fantastic job over there. I appreciate everything you do, protecting our residents day in and day out, and not wasting your time over a dry erase marker. Thank you very much. Anybody else have any more nonsense for old business?
I do have some.
All right, let's go for it.
Nonsense, but I
Let's
heard-
get it all out.
It might be referred to as nonsense. I
Okay.
don't know. We all have our opinions, right?
Yeah.
Illinois American Water, we talked about some kind of, the attorney spoke of some kind of reparations or some kind of working with the public. I wasn't really clear on what was said as far as monies or helping somebody if they, can you be more specific as to a situation or what would prompt us as a village to do that? This is the first time.
You reminded me of something.
It's the first time I'm hearing about it. It wasn't mentioned at the meeting that was held last Friday, and I wasn't even here for the whole meeting, so maybe it was when I left. But the thing is, if you could just explain that a little bit more in detail as to when that would be put into play, I guess. And maybe I didn't hear it exactly right, you meant something else. Maybe you could clarify that. Thank you.
Go for it.
Okay, so, as I like to say, that's a lot to unpack. So
It's a lot to unpack.
Okay, so we have been trying, our office has been trying to help the residents to where they need to go to make their complaints regarding the ICC, or strike that, regarding their water bills. What we've heard, and through the conversations that I personally have had with residents, is that there's an issue, obviously we have an issue with rates, and that issue is solely within the jurisdiction of the ICC. And that issue, for lack of a better word, that issue has been resolved by the ICC. They've given a rate increase, but not the exact amount that Illinois American Water wanted. The second issue that we heard, based upon the feedback that we got from the village questionnaire, was that we have issues regarding the volume and quantity of service that people are being charged for. Meaning that, for instance, person A is being told that they use 20,000 gallons of water in a period of time, and they're out of town during that period of time. I'm just using it as a hypothetical, okay? Issues regarding quantities of service and volumes of service, the ICC and the courts look at those as being the same thing, synonymous with rate increases. So that being said, issues regarding quantity and rates, all currently under the current form of Illinois law, have to go to the Illinois Commerce Commission. They're the entity that's charged with jurisdiction. We unfortunately cannot assist with that. So we were instructed to try to think out of the box. That's what we always try to do, to try to come up with potential solutions. And where we have a potential solution could be proposing potential changes to existing Illinois law. That's something that I'm going to talk a little bit more with the trustees about. These are some of the ideas that we came up with. and I'm going to be talking with them in private to see if this is even something they'd like to do. But that was one thing. The second thing that we're doing is also conversing with the Illinois Attorney General's office to let them know the sheer volume of complaints that our village has been receiving, to explore whatever facets or avenue the Attorney General could potentially do to assist the residents. So when we talk about reparation, that's a term that the law uses to talk about folks that believe they were wronged by both a rate practice or a quantity of service. And that's what I meant by reparation, Trustee Falco.
Okay.
People that are claiming that they're charging me too much money by way of volume, and I'm trying to get repaid for that, for lack of a better word.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? All right, so I got a couple of things. The contracts, I want to apologize to staff member Dan Waddick. I don't think he's still here, but it is my responsibility. Oh, he's hiding. It is my responsibility to look out for the best interests of this village, especially when it comes to contract and, clauses and all that fun stuff. So I do just want to make sure we go through that with a fine tooth comb. So I do apologize for that. Mr. Sawyers, there was a question last meeting about a report that was provided that there may have been some confusion, not error, but confusion. And I wanted to say, I appreciate you and Lisa taking your time to change up that report so it's more easily read for the trustees. Do you have just a minute to explain to them how you broke it out for the board or for the residents so they know now from now on?
Well, my intent was to discuss the levying portion of the road maintenance program. So that's what was presented. The road district levies primarily all of the funds to do their servicing of the roads. We only levy $1.5 million to service the roads. We do use other resources, so that might have been a little bit of a confusing portion of it, but my intent was for that to be a, here's what you pay for, here's what the resident pays for.
Yeah, I think we're talking about two different things, though.
You're talking about the video?
No, I'm referencing when the attorney bills that were approved the previous month were on that report. But thank you for that update as well. That was great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Well, I understand there was some confusion on it. Just what we do, accounts payable, because legal is a legislative item and it comes after the consent or the bill list, we generally, we don't cut checks. We don't put them on that bill list, but we cut the check Friday. All the bills that are on a bill list are cut on a Thursday. So, the board gets the next bill list. It includes all of those prior legislative items that were passed, and it's confusing. And I do believe there was an old one that was omitted that was, we caught up and had that on the bill list. So we tried to update our new schedule of accounts payable by identifying prior payments, prior meeting legislative approved items. So they're segregated now. So when you look at a bill list, it'll only be, well, the first section will be what you're asked to approve, and the last 2 pages will include what was approved from the previous meeting.
Yes. So I hoped everyone looked at their packet this month and noticed that. I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to separate that out. It's much cleaner now.
Is it? I hope so.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
The other question I had was, I know at the last board meeting, we gave a consensus to approve executive session minutes. I didn't see them on today's agenda, so I'm just hoping that they can be on the next agenda. We gave it to approve but not release. So we have to do that in public, that we approve those minutes. So if we can get that on the next agenda, that would be great. And I just wanted to take 1 minute. We were advised by the attorney, because the word electioneering constantly gets thrown around. So it's not that we don't want to congratulate people. It's just now is not the time, not at a board meeting, due to the fact because it could be potentially an electioneering, because unfortunately, they're still in a race. There's still a general election. So as much as I would like to congratulate some people, I unfortunately can't. So is there any new business? Okay. Workshop, none. Executive session. Are we going into executive session to discuss personnel and pending litigation?
And public utilities.
And public utilities. Is there a motion to go into exec?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Reinders, Trustee Mason, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? See you guys later.